take an inventory of your vitamins, your physical and your figurative vitamins for every day. Like what keeps you restored and then what gives you that extra boost as well. And make sure you do them. Welcome to King Moves. In chess, the king moves one step at a time, but that single move can change everything. Each week, we explore mindset shifts and simple actions that could lead to the next breakthrough in your business and life. I'm your co-host, Ethan King, from Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Entrepreneur, TEDx speaker, and best-selling author of Wealth Beyond Money.
And I'm your co-host, Justin King, no relation to Ethan, from Cape Town, South Africa. Entrepreneur, speaker, and business growth strategist. Our journey crosses continents and cultures as we think out loud, challenge assumptions, and uncover the small moves that create big momentum. Welcome to King Moves. Let's start the conversation. Alrighty, Ethan, I was just reading one of Jesse Itzler's newsletters, and he has a weekly newsletter called Free Swim. And I thought this one was quite interesting. He called it Your Daily Vitamins. And I'm going to read it very quickly. It's not a long newsletter. And then I would love to hear what your daily vitamins are, and I'll share mine as well. So he said, when I was a kid, my mom always made me take my vitamins. Now I have a different kind of vitamin routine, but it's just as important for staying strong mentally and emotionally. I made a list of what I call my daily vitamins, the things that energize and fulfill me. For me, it's running, sauna and steam, cold plunges, playing with my kids, and this word game called Spelling Bee that I'm obsessed with. I even added walks with Sarah. I don't love talking, but she does, so it made the list. Here's the deal. I can't do all of them every day, but I make sure to take at least one or two of these vitamins daily. Because if work or family obligations constantly prevent me from doing the things I love, I'll start resenting them. I don't want to resent my wife or my work. But if I check my own box, if I get my run-in or my cold plunge, I show up for everything else in much better shape. When Sarah wants to go to the opera, not my thing, I'm happy to go because I've already done something for myself. Try it. Make a list of your vitamins, the things that make you feel alive and energized. Then make sure you're taking at least one or two every day. Because just like real vitamins, these daily doses of what fulfills you aren't optional. They're essential for your well-being. So I thought there was an interesting take, and it's nothing new. It's an interesting take on things that we've heard a whole bunch of times. What stood out for me though when I read it and what I liked is I try to do one or two of these things every single day. He didn't say I have got my 5 daily vitamins that I have to do every single day. And if I don't do one of these 5, then I get derailed and my day is ruined and I'm not going to become the next whatever. He said I need to do one or two of these daily. And that to me was a breath of fresh air. Because we do feel under a lot of pressure, I think, to have the perfect morning routine, the perfect average day, which people speak about, the perfect evening routine, doing all these things, checking all these boxes. And if we miss one, then we feel like a bit of a failure for the day, which is not a great way to be. So with that in mind, what would go into your daily vitamins list? And if you had to choose one or two, which would you always try and prioritize to as your non-negotiables?
Yeah, sure. It's a great topic. And by the way, for our listeners in the US, what Justin is saying is the vitamins when he says vitamins.
Well, we pronounce it correctly down here in South Africa. So thank you.
It actually does make more sense. Logically, I will agree that vitamins actually does make more sense, but we do weird things here in the US. So I'll give you a pass with that one. So yeah, my daily vitamins, actually, let me back up a little bit because he was talking about metaphorical vitamins and I want to talk about literal vitamins for a minute also. Because when I notice that when I travel, when I don't take my vitamin, I take a lot of vitamins every day or supplements, we'll say. And if I forget to, or if I'm traveling and I forgot or didn't, if I missed a beat, then I feel off. And it's because my blood chemical levels just aren't the same that I'm accustomed to. Even things like coffee, caffeine. And we've all probably, I don't know if you're a coffee drinker, but if you are, you've probably experienced that cloud fog when the coffee hasn't quite kicked in yet, or the caffeine from that. So I take, as far as literal vitamins, B12 every day gives me tons of energy. Guarana, yohimbine, those both give you a ton of energy and mental clarity. I take 6,000 milligrams of vitamin C, and I noticed that now that's a lot. That's way beyond the recommended daily value. But I noticed that pretty much as I get older, every with about every 5 to 10 years, I add on about 2,000 milligrams. So I'll take like 3,000 in the
Yeah.
morning, 3,000 at night. And I hardly ever get sick. And I think that my routine has a lot to do with that. I haven't been sick since I think 2018. I mean, I remember the last cold I had. That's how infrequent they are.
Touch wood, Ethan, touch wood.
Oh yeah, touch wood, yeah. um, but okay, so that's literal vitamins, and then of course, the caffeine from coffee. But then I get it. Running actually it does the same thing. It releases the pleasure chemicals in your body, the dopamine, the endorphins, the serotonin. So I notice on days when I don't run, I feel off, just the same way as if I didn't take my vitamins. So yeah, getting that run in, getting some sunshine. I mean, we all feel better on sunny days. I mean, literally, it's scientific. You get vitamin D from the sun. So stepping outside and getting some actual sunshine is a great thing to do, especially first thing in the morning. And this all affects your mood for the day. So I've talked about morning routines before, and I'm a little bit hesitant to talk about them because they sound so cliche, one,
Yeah.
and because two, I'd be dishonest if I said I do the same routine every single morning. I don't. But I like the way that Jesse put it here because I do have a better day when I get certain things in. They may not all happen in the morning. I may have to wake up and just immediately get to work some mornings. And then I try to get it in later in the day. But I do feel off. And I think that it's more, for me, it's physical. It's like my body chemistry is off. So I need to get those things in, whether they're the actual vitamins or the metaphorical.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And as you were going through what like the actual vitamins that you take, I was making note because I hadn't thought about that aspect as well. So the things that I take every day, caffeine, love my coffee for sure. Probably drink too much of it, but I have got better at actually trying to drink less at certain times leading up to certain things so that I can tap into the effects of caffeine. But then the things that I take daily, the zinc and magnesium combination, that really does help. Zinc helps you to absorb a lot of other things into your body, and magnesium is really just to help with fatigue, both physical and mental fatigue. I take joint support every single day. I did a DNA test a couple of years ago, and I'm prone to soft tissue damage. So like joint support for me is really important. And then the two, because I do a lot of physical activity like you, always taking my creatine every single day. That is a game changer for me, and I've done that for probably the last 3 years. But physically and mentally, I've had far fewer joint issues as well, taking creatine every day, and then L-glutamine just to help with recovery. So those are my go-to vitamins, my actual supplements that I put into my body. And then if we had to speak
Quick question.
about
With creatine, are
yeah,
you taking like a load, or is it a lighter amount every day, or what?
the creatine is really a really interesting one. The more that they have researched it now, there's actually no need to have a loading phase. And there's no need to have a kind of a deload phase or a decreased. So I just take, I'll be honest, don't even kind of measure it perfectly. I probably take 10 to 15 grams a day of creatine. And depending on your size, how big you are, you can take up to kind of 20, 25 grams of creatine a day. Some people will feel a little bit of bloating and might feel some water retention from creatine. I think it impacts everyone differently. I'm pretty lucky. I don't get a lot of gastric irritability. And that was one of my amazing things when I did my run as well. Like I was able to consume things without really feeling terrible, feeling heavy, or having any stomach issues. So for me, the creatine is just, about 10, 15 grams. Or sometimes throw it into a pre-workout if I take a pre-workout, throw it into a protein shake if I take a protein shake, throw it into my oats if I'm having oats after a workout. Just make sure that I'm having that. It's really worked for me. And there's a huge number of studies as well now how good creatine is for your brain health, which is amazing to know as well. So anything that's going to be good for my brain, I'm happy to take that as well. And I've had no negative side effects from it whatsoever. Then on the physical side, I think it's interesting. I'm going to really limit mine to, if I had to be brutal, there's 3 things that on average, if I can get these more often than not, I'll be in a good place. And I've kind of been obsessed with this idea of on average, can you do this thing? On average, are you eating more healthy? On average, are you getting out for a run? Because on average allows us some wiggle room to be imperfect. And the reality is we're not going to nail it every single day. But if on average we're doing the right thing, then we're in a good place. And for me, it would be getting to the gym, going for a run. And then the third one gets ticked off by doing either of those two. I've got to have some alone time. Like I have to have some time to myself, and running ticks that box majorly because I can get
Right.
out on the road and it's literally just me and I don't have to speak to anyone. But even in the gym, if there might be a ton of people around me, but I can put some earphones on and kind of just be in my own little world for a moment. And that I've found is something that more often than not, if I can have that alone time, I show up so much better for the people around me. I show up so much better in my relationship. So for me, those would be my daily vitamins that I have to have. Get in a run, get in a move. So push some weights around, get into the gym, get a run in, and tick off the box of some alone time. Then I feel like I'm set up and I'm in a good space.
100%. Now, so I look at this as like, okay, those, for me, the things I listed are like my baseline where I won't
Yeah.
have as a normal day if I don't do those things. But then I think there's some extra things I could do to have an
Yeah.
even more amazing day. So for me, some of those vitamins are gratitude journaling, which I think we've talked about before. So I
We have.
don't do this every day, but when I do make a point to, as soon as I wake up, write down 3 things I'm thankful for, very specific things. And then at night, cap off my day by reflecting and writing down 3 amazing things that happen. I find that I have just an amazing day. It's tough to have a bad day when you start with gratitude and realizing just how blessed you are to be here and to wake up and to have use of your limbs, things like that, breath in your body, the family. Even I write down little things like the sound of laughter from my children, things like that. The way the sun shines through the trees in the morning, I find myself appreciating every little tiny thing in life. And it just makes me have a wonderful day because let's face it. I mean, like I study a lot of stoicism and sayings by Marcus Aurelius, and we're going to face bullshit every day from people. It's inevitable. So he's like, go into your day knowing that you're going to face something from someone else that does not help you, does not benefit you. In fact, it maybe goes against what your wishes are. So to arm myself for that, I start with appreciation. And that's a huge win for me.
You're making me feel guilty for not journaling. So journaling and regular meditation would be the 2 things that I would throw onto the table to say, I know I'm terrible at these, and I know that would, I'm going to say, take me to that next level if I could the habit around them. And they've been 2 of the most difficult things for me for whatever reason. Ethan, I'm going to include gratitude, just the daily gratitude aspect in the journaling as well, because sometimes they can just be a verbal aspect. But man, I struggle with that. And I'll be honest, I get down on myself sometimes because I've struggled to build that in. And I have recently tried to take some pressure off myself to say, yeah, you're not great at those, but man, you do show up really well in some of the other areas that are your daily vitamins. And don't drop those. Keep leaning into those because they'll still allow me to show up really, really well. And I think if we're always trying to build this absolutely perfect routine with 24 habits, 24 and a half habits, you know what I mean? It becomes exhausting. It really does become exhausting. So right now, I've actually trying to just nail down and really having a good rhythm with less and hopefully build on the extras over time rather than kind of the extras that I don't always get to and don't get them quite right, impacting some of these others. And then I feel like I'm not on average doing anything well. And that's just me. And it sounds like a cop-out, I think, but that's where my mind is working currently.
Self-awareness is key. And I'm glad you brought up meditation too, because that changed everything for me. And no, I don't do it every single day, but at one point in my life, I did. It was shortly after I learned transcendental meditation. I was doing it religiously, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening, and for consecutive days. And it just, man, I felt great. I did not believe in meditation at first. I thought all of it was like woo woo and everybody was just following this hype trend. But once I started doing it, yes, my life got considerably better. I would recommend that to anyone. And thanks for bringing that up because it's a reminder that I do need to get back on a consistent schedule with my meditation. All right. So I guess the king move for me would be, if you're listening to this, take an inventory of your vitamins, your physical and your figurative vitamins for every day. Like what keeps you restored and then what gives you that extra boost as well. And make sure you do them. When I go on trips now, it's funny. The first thing I pack is my vitamins because I realize how important they are to my life. What about you, Justin?
Love it. I think taking an inventory of your vitamins, both the actual physical ones and the things that you want to do on a daily basis or on average you're wanting to do, I think that's the perfect way. So next time you travel, pack your vitamins in your bag and pack your running shoes. Make sure that you get that little outdoor activity in as well.
Yes. All right. That's a wrap for today's episode of King Moves. Remember, in chess, like in business,
one right move can change everything.
Take today's action step, make your move, and build momentum.
If you found value in today's episode, share it with someone who's ready for their next breakthrough. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss our weekly conversations. Until next time.